Hi guys, Ali Duzette here, and today I'm reporting from Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I will be for a week, but I am slam-packed, so I'm sorry. If you live in Oklahoma, I totally want to see you, but I basically don't have time because every moment of my life is spoken for except for this tiny moment. I have like a few minutes and I thought I'm gonna make a video. Let's make a video. Now, today, every time I stay in a hotel room, I always want to talk about cleaning up the energy of a hotel room because, guys, hotel rooms are disgusting. I mean, like energy speaking, and also in real life, very often they are disgusting. But this brings us back to something that I wanted to kind of talk about in the context of the upcoming eclipse and the sign of Jonah. Okay, so this is Matthew 12. I just pulled it up. It's the New International Version from Bible Gateway. Okay, so I made that big video about the sign of Jonah because everybody's talking about it in the context of this eclipse. Here it is. The Pharisees and teachers of the law said to him, "Teacher, we want to see a sign from you." He answered, "A wicked and adulterous generation asks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and now something greater than Jonah is here." Okay, so we're going to pause right there because this has been getting a lot of buzz. And of course, I made a video about it as well, because I was sitting there kind of feeling like, I don't know, like the Nineveh connection, how legitimate is it, right? Or another thing that I was kind of thinking is that this is a little bit taken out of context, but then I saw that the actual eclipse is taking place in the belly of the whale of the constellation Cetus. And that is what really had me rethinking, like, okay, maybe there's something more here. Well, if there's something more here, and that's taken out of context, maybe we should look at the context. So that's what I wanted to take a look at today. Okay, share the screen. Okay, let's just read the rest of the verse for a little second, because it goes on to, we go straight from the sign of Jonah to what? The queen of the south will rise at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for she came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and now something that greater than Solomon is here. Okay, so I have been like studying and like praying about this little verse, Matthew 12:42, for weeks now. And I feel like I'm not like super ready to talk about it yet, but going back to what we talked about yesterday with masculine and feminine, I think that this is really interesting that we have this masculine and feminine connection here, that the men of Nineveh will stand up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And then the queen of the south, who is also the queen of Sheba. If you've heard of the queen of Sheba, that's who we're talking about. The queen of Sheba will rise at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for she came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and now something greater than Solomon is here. So one thing I've been really thinking about is, who is the queen of the south? Like I had talked about in that Jonah video, I think we're all kind of Jonah, and we're all being called to die, like to go through a death and rebirth process that has to do with this upcoming eclipse, that's going to give us these natural opportunities to end old patterns and ways of being and step into some new ones. Are we all also the queen of Sheba? Which it sounds kind of funny to say, because now I feel like I just had a conversation where somebody compared this lady with like a bunch of jewelry to the Queen of Sheba. I'll admit it was me. I was like, she was dressed like the Queen of Sheba. But anyway, we'll come back to the Queen of Sheba if I remember to on a different day, but let's keep going. Okay. When an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, "I will return to the house I left." When it arrives, it finds the house unoccupied, swept clean, and put in order. Then it goes and takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there, and the final condition of that person is worse than the first. That is how it will be with this wicked generation. Okay, scrolling up, because the story immediately above the sign of Jonah is the story of Jesus and Beelzebub. Then they brought him a demon-possessed man who was blind and mute, and Jesus healed him so that he could both talk and see. All the people were astonished and said, "Could this be the son of David?" But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, "It is only by Beelzebub, the prince of demons, that this fellow drives out demons." Then Jesus says his famous line, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand?" And he goes on and talks about, here he is casting out demons. And we have this little lecture from Jesus about the interaction between the Spirit of God and demons, basically. And it talks about, of course, by their fruits ye shall know them, right? This goodie right here, for by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Some really powerful stuff there. And then we go into that they want a sign. And then we talk about the sign of Jonah. And so as we've been seeing a bunch of people talk about the sign of Jonah and Nineveh, the men of Nineveh, repentance, like, yes, repentance is clearly a big part of this upcoming eclipse. But I think the other half of it actually needs to be awareness of actual like demonic entities, which I don't know. I don't love talking about it because I feel like when we start talking about that kind of stuff, it just sounds kind of weird and crazy, but it is very real. Okay. It is biblically real. And I don't know, it is like personally real. Like I have seen those things with my own eyes, and I can tell you they are so real. I think as we prepare for this eclipse, it's going to be really important that we understand the reality of the adversary that we are fighting on a spiritual level, and that we understand how important it is to cast them out and keep them out. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about right down here. Same in Matthew 12. Oh, scroll up. Right here, when an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through arid places seeking rest, does not find it. It goes back to the house it left and takes 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. The final condition of that person is worse than the first. Okay, so what does this mean? What it means in my experience and observation is that when a person casts out an evil spirit from anybody, from themselves, from somebody else, and they do not do the healing work that is necessary to prevent it from coming back, then it does come back, and it brings much worse spirits as well. So I'm sorry, I'm like, let me pray about this really fast while I'm like live on YouTube. Okay. Getting a yes, I will share this story. So I had this person in my life who is no longer in my life many years ago, who was dealing with, I mean, God, should I share that part too? I'm like, what can I share here? I'm feeling like, yes, they were dealing with same-sex attraction. And they knew that I worked with all sorts of things. I work with like any health kind of condition, and also any kind of like spiritual type of condition, basically. And so I was working with this person, and I saw that they had evil spirits within them that were of the opposite gender. And so we cast them out, which is, it doesn't have to be hard. I teach a full class on it called Defending Against the Dark Arts, and it's at alleyduzetclasses.com. So if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, you can. It is simple. It is simple to say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I cast you out, right? But the bulk of my class talks about the kind of spiritual preparation that we need to do so that we can be the kind of people that have the faith to be effective in this. I hope that makes sense, because faith has a big part of it. Like our confidence has a big part to play in it. But then comes the other half, which is doing the work. Because guess what? We cast out every bad thing from this person that I knew, and this person didn't want to do the work. He didn't want to do the internal work to change and be a different person, which is really what we are all called to do. We're all called to look within ourselves every day and say, okay, what does not belong here? What needs to change so that I can like do my better life? What needs to change so that I can be more in alignment with our Creator? And I don't know, he was all in for having somebody else like kick out evil spirits from him. And he is a religious man who no longer considers himself either of those things, if you know what I mean. And I don't know, he was all for somebody else doing the spiritual work, but when it came time for him to sit down and look introspectively within and say, what in me needs to change, you know, he didn't want to do that work because it is work. It's hard work. It's not easy and it's not that fun to have to sit there and see our own flaws really clearly and have to dig into it and start making a change. That is the real thing. This is my understanding of the interaction of demonic entities and human beings, okay? My understanding is that they can basically only exist where there is space for them to exist. What does that mean? It means that if a person has a whole lot of demonic activity in their self, then a lot of that has to do with that part of them is open to that. And that is not necessarily that person's fault, okay? Because we all come here, I think, with beliefs that we have developed like in the womb, even before that. And then we're raised in these families, we're raised in these different situations that are teaching us these different things on a subconscious level. And that's what is really the big issue, is what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, like, nobody in their conscious mind, most people in their conscious mind are not saying, gee, I really wish that a bunch of evil entities would be in my space today. Nobody's like waking up thinking that. But if there's a part of their brain somewhere that's feeling deeply unworthy, that feels like they should be sad, that feels like they are not a good person, that is resonating with basically any number of beliefs that are not true, that are not in alignment with God and the nature of the universe, it opens up a space for negative spirits to be there. And that space will exist inside of a person's body until they change. They have to change as a person to close up that space and make themselves basically demon proof. Okay. You look at yourself and you partner with God and you say, okay, what in me is open to having entities in my space? What beliefs do I have? What unresolved childhood trauma? What other kinds of things might I have going on in my body or my heart or my life or my past? Like, and we are all you're qualified. You are totally qualified to go and ask God the answer to that and listen carefully and write down an answer that comes to you. And it might feel like you're making it up. Well, that's okay, because it has to come in through your brain. It has to come in through basically like your imagination. It's okay for it to feel like you're making it up. You write down what comes to you and then you ask God for a verification. And you feel that feeling in your body that you got it right or you didn't get it right. And if you didn't get it right, you go back and try again until you feel like you got it right. And we practice and practice. I wrote a whole book about this. It's called Mastering Your Intuition. It's on Amazon. Recommended. Go read it. It will change your life and make it so much easier for you to get answers from God, which is the whole purpose of why I wrote that book. But what we have to do is partner with God and say, okay, what do I have to do so that I can be the kind of person that evil spirits don't feel comfortable inside of me? You know, where it's like a hard job for them to be inside of my actual body, because that's where they end up, right? I mean, at least biblically speaking, they go into your house, the house of a person. I mean, they're in a person and come out of a person and they go in and live there. So is your person a good habitat for an evil spirit? Like, that's the question we have to ask. What kind of a habitat am I? Am I a good habitat for evil, or am I a good habitat for goodness, right? And we partner with God and systematically go through our own souls, just a little bit at a time. So anyways, in my Defending Against the Dark Arts class, I talk about that. And I just have like this huge list of stuff that you can go through yourself and like a checklist on your own soul, and like stuff that I've found, like, it really helps if you get rid of this. It really helps if you get rid of that, just so that you can get into a better space to deal with that kind of thing. And I don't know, occasionally I get complaints because it costs some money. I don't remember how much. It might cost $35 or like $65 or something like that. But honestly, I was going to make it free. And sorry, the sun's going down to my eyeballs. Okay. I was gonna make it free, and then I felt like it needs a paywall on it because it's like kind of sensitive information. I just don't want total randos to be in there, with that. But I don't know. If you need a scholarship for it, go email my team, heal@allyduzette.com. It I think it can be a very life-changing class. And another good class is going to be healing from ritual abuse. So if you do have a past where you have dealt with like serious demonic stuff in your life, in any way, that class is going to be very, very life-changing for you. And so I recommend both of them. But that brings me back to this hotel. So I'm on this business trip. I'm in this hotel by myself, and hotels are just disgusting and full of basically like evil spirits all the time. They love hotels. Can you guess why? Because all sorts of people are in here doing all sorts of things, which a lot of bad things really like and support and encourage and egg on. And so every time I come to a hotel, I at least clean my own hotel room and my own space. So I wanted to teach you how to do that really quick. It's not hard. None of this has to be hard, okay? We're God's children, and we're qualified to partner with God to do things like this and cast things out that should not be here, and we're qualified to do that. So what I do is I close my eyes and I envision the room in my mind. And I'm not a great imaginer. People say, well, I don't see anything wrong. Well, guess what, buddy? Me neither. I think about it. Okay. If you're great at visualizing, visualize. I'm not. I don't see hardly anything, like if I imagine an apple, what it really is I think about the idea of an apple. I'm not really like seeing a clear picture of like a juicy apple or something like that. Just think about your hotel room. If you're not a good visualizer, don't use that as an excuse. Doesn't matter. Just think about your hotel room and think about what it would be like if you could know where there were patches of darkness, maybe like a vortex of energy swirling about, or maybe like a hole, like an energetic hole in the wall. Or maybe you would actually see yucky entities themselves. You never have to be afraid of them. The person with the body wins. So you always win. They have to be afraid of you. It's just how it works. And so what I do is I go through the room and I see where there's just like yucky energy, and I ask God to send angels to just come and clean it. And I see them with like a cleaning crew, and they come and clean the walls, clean the floors, clean everything. If there's a hole, they repair it. And so in the end, I'm in like this perfect box of golden light. Okay. And I just make sure that every single surface is golden light. And then I see the angels kind of like vacuum just like the air, just take everything out, seal it up with golden light on the ceiling. So it's like a perfect golden box with no yucky dark energy at all. If there is dark energy that struggles to go, then I just ask God what to do. And then I just do what I feel like God is telling me to do. If God is telling me to, I don't know, call on the name of Jesus harder and just be like truly calling on the Lord to cast that thing out, or if I feel like God is telling me to call in more angels to help address the situation, then I will do that. But I will tell you that cleaning up a hotel room, you will sleep so much better. And you can do this for your own house. Gall, I'm in a hotel room, but you're at your house. Go do it for your house. I do this to my own house. I don't have to do it that much because I do it semi-regularly and only I and my family live there. So a hotel, there's all sorts of weird people all the time. But in your own house, hopefully you won't have to be deep cleaning it energetically every single day. But that is how I personally do it. So I wanted to share that. You may find that your space feels totally different after doing it. And I just want to, of course, remind everybody that, I don't know, I'm teaching stuff that I have learned in my life, but really the best teacher is God, our creator, and you're qualified to go get your information straight from the source. So I will urge you to do that. And if you feel like God is telling you something different or to do something in a different way or anything, like listen to that, because that is going to be the ultimate best information that you can possibly have. So, okay, oh, my time is up and I need to go to my best thing, but I hope that this was helpful. I do think that to the extent that the sign of Jonah is significant with this eclipse, I think the surrounding verses are significant as well. And I think that this is partially a message that we need to be way more on top of noticing when evil spirits are in play. We need to be way more on top of getting rid of them and casting them out from our space. And we need to be way better at being the kinds of people that evil cannot coexist with. And when it sees us coming, it runs away because it does not want to be illuminated by our light. So that's what I think, and you can confirm that on your own. But thank you for listening. I hope you have the best day. Wish me luck. I'm up to all sorts of crazy, exciting stuff over here. Okay, love you guys. Bye.